51 past the hour. Breaking this morning, President Trump announcing the U.S. will be levying a secondary tariff on Venezuela beginning on the 2nd of April. The president says, quote, any country that purchases oil and or gas from Venezuela will be forced to pay a tariff of 25% to the United States on any trade they do with our country. In the Post, the president accuses Venezuela of sending criminals to the U.S., including members of the gang Tren de Aragua. Joining us now, Ryan Berg, director of the Americas program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Ryan, I thank you for your time. So how did you see this? What's the significance of this presidential announcement?
Thanks for having me on, Jose. This is really an unprecedented announcement. I think the secondary and the secondary tariffs is a reference to secondary sanctions, which would be sanctions levied not exactly on a country or on a specific company or sector, but on those that do business with it. And so it seems as though in this Truth Social post, the president is threatening the entire trading relationship of countries that deal in Venezuelan oil. What's not clear is whether we're targeting the home country of the companies that are operating in Venezuela, or whether we're targeting countries that benefit the most from Venezuelan oil. These are two different things. Sometimes the oil from companies that are in Venezuela are actually being exported to other countries. It's just not clear at this point who is in fact being targeted. But the fact that so much could be at stake seems to indicate that we're going out swinging for the fences here on Venezuela.
It's interesting because it reminds me a little bit of the Title III of the U.S. Embargo against the Castro regime, such a controversial part of that, which was instituted during the first Trump presidency. But Ryan, give us why is it that we as Americans should be concerned about what does or does not happen in Venezuela? What's the impact of Venezuela's sales of petroleum and natural gas to the world?
Jose, I think we should be very concerned about where Venezuela is selling its oil, because that's money that the regime uses to feed its repressive apparatus domestically. You have to remember that Venezuela and Cuba are the two countries in Latin America with the largest number of prisoners. Venezuela became a very repressive police state after the stolen election of July of last year. And so any money that is brought into its coffers through these oil deals is in fact feeding the regime's repressive apparatus. So I think what the administration is trying to do here is make it more difficult for Venezuela to do business in the oil sector. It's the reason why we were on just a couple weeks ago together talking about the Chevron license. The administration seems to be looking for ways to restrict Venezuela's oil income. And that, of course, will put Venezuela in a very difficult position in terms of feeding its repressive internal regime.
And Ryan, what is the tie? Is there a tie at all between the Maduro regime and Tren de Aragua or other, I guess, multinational gangs that start and continue to operate out of Venezuela?
In my mind, Jose, there is an inextricable link between the regime and Tren de Aragua, between the regime and the Cartel de los Soles. We say that this is a criminal regime in the sense that it operates like a group of criminals. You understand more about how the regime operates when you study mafia dynamics. And it's very difficult to imagine a prison-based group like Tren de Aragua becoming a truly global phenomenon without the help and assistance of the state. And keep in mind that these reports come 1 or 2 days after a very deeply researched article in the Miami Herald, which talked about intelligence agents in the United States with deep connections in Venezuela, telling the administration about this plan from the regime to send Tren de Aragua members to the United States to finance their journey and to direct them to set up shop in certain cities and to cause havoc and commit acts of violence.